forward to the day when his soul will be restored. Someone who has lived so much. Contain myself in simple ways.
Check. Yo. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Jake from the All I Know Is That I Don't Know podcast, hanging out here with Sam and Art.
Yo no sé nada, güey.
From the
What's up, fellas?
Ketupa Entertainment.
Yes,
Just
sir.
hanging out, you know?
Yes, sir.
So I guess we could just like jump right into that then, right? The
Well,
tuba?
first I want to say, like, yo, your setup is amazing, dude. Like, seriously.
Thank you, Art.
Hey, man. Couldn't have happened without all three of us.
This is
Oh, that's true.
yeah, without my mistake.
Everything evolved because of how this day came to be. So,
That's true. I accept that. I fully believe that, actually, yeah.
oh yeah.
Check.
Check. So, what is Ketupa?
Oh yeah, so tulpas.
Yeah, you were telling me.
Okay, so tulpas are like, and I'm not even that well versed on it, but I guess it's an Indian philosophy, Buddhist. I think it's a Buddhist like central idea.
Hindu, Eastern.
Eastern
Eastern.
of some sort. I'm not exactly sure where, but it's the idea that you can create mental beings with thought.
Like servitors.
What's that?
Like mental, like you said, like mental thought forms that you can put on assignments. Like, yeah, that's like kind of like the Mr. Meeseeks
Yeah.
idea, but in a thought form.
Correct.
Yeah.
So like spirits in a way that you manifest. So potentially occult practices are using this type of thing to manifest entities through joint thought. So in that culture, the tribe, like there's a tribe.
Yeah.
The whole tribe, when somebody is trying to ascend to like master level, the whole tribe manifests a negative tulpa to try to attack the spirit of the one who's trying to ascend.
Mm-hmm.
So your homies are all like trying to defeat you and destroy you with like putting their mental energy together into this ugly spirit.
Yeah.
And if you can survive that harshness, like you ascend to the next level, right?
It sounds so fucked up.
It's fucked up.
Honestly, like,
That's crazy.
yo, all my homies are gonna summon the deepest, darkest forms of foul demons to fucking haunt you in your dreams and fuck up your life.
Sometimes they die. Sometimes the dude dies. Like he
You're not
just-
making it sound any better.
Well, that's like a lot of tribes.
Well,
they
that's
use,
how intense
like,
they are.
These
No, but for
crazy
real.
rituals when they initiate you. Like, you know, on National Geographic, they show like the tribe that I saw one where like you have to stick your hand in a glove full of fire ants.
Right.
From like moving from your adolescence into your teenage years or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like your rite of passage. Other tribes, they bungee jump from like an extremely unstable platform, and then Warmonger from like Marvel. There's an African tribe that they kind of hint at with that character where like they scar themselves and make their skin look like crocodile scales and stuff
right.
like that.
Interesting.
But that's
So,
more
like-
aesthetic, right? Or is it a rite of passage?
It's a rite of passage, and I mean I guess it's both.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that like it's a new take on that, like a tulpa being like an initiation ritual for some. Like,
Mhm. Well,
Interesting.
so the idea of the tulpa, right? So companies kind of do this with mascots in a way,
Okay.
and like people believing in the mascot or like giving power to the mascot gives more power to the being.
To
So
the-
Baphomet potentially
That's
could be
interesting.
like a fictitious invention of like evil consciousness.
Yeah.
But it has a certain amount of power. So I took the idea of the tulpa, which just to me meant like this entity that you create with your mind and thought, intention. And it would be this entity that we created that had to do with creativity and like success and like all the art that we want to create and manifest. So it would be like this Captain Planet would be a tulpa in a way, if you think about it. It's like a tulpa of like environmental
Captain Planet.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like mascotting your mission, so to speak.
And there's other examples of shit like that.
Like that.
With Captain Planet. So the Ketupa was a spin on Cthulhu.
Right.
See? That's your doing.
Hey, we're not mad at it.
Come on, buddy. Everybody say hi to Abby. She's a little sensitive.
Yeah.
She's eating the crumbs off my shirt.
Oh, that's healthy.
Because I was eating pizza and the crumbs fell. She's like, ooh.
YOLO. Aw. Look at that.
So that's what it is.
And then what's the other half?
What happened?
CTH.
Well, that's just the first three letters. And so I've been trying to like make something symbolize the C, the T, and the H.
Okay.
But isn't it Cthulhu?
Well, Cthulhu's the... what's his name?
What's that name of the author that came? Love something. Lovecraft. Yeah.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a create. He's the one who created it.
Yeah.
Or did he get that idea from someone else?
No, I think that's his shit. Well, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's nothing new under the sun. But
Exactly.
one important thing is that he never copyrighted his shit.
Really?
Intentionally.
Really.
So like there's no copyrights on the idea of Cthulhu. So I could
cool.
use it as like a symbol.
Yeah, it's like free use.
Right.
Pretty dope.
So
Is it hardlined?
Reconnection success.
what is that?
Ethernet?
No.
Should hardline it.
Ah, rookie.
Hey.
Rookie.
For next one.
But actually considering that's actually really good because we did 5 cams last time. And for the fucking Wi-Fi to be able to send all that information, that's impressive.
That is pretty impressive.
Anyway,
but definitely Ethernet that shit next time.
Definitely.
I have my PlayStation Etherneted, man. Even I know that. I'm just joking. Just joking.
I don't know what that means.
They can hack your shit, bro. If it's wireless, they can hack it.
Can't they hack? No? Can't. Oh.
Hardline is your most safe way to do it, for sure.
But they still have to crack like the Wi-Fi password, right? Or the Wi-Fi security.
I don't know. I remember hearing somewhere on some podcast that like, you know, one of them Edward Snowden shits where like he's recommending that you have everything hardline because if it's wireless, then the signal can be intercepted. If it's hardline,
True.
like it's harder to intercept.
True.
I'm sure there's still ways, but
Yeah. That makes
That's
sense.
true.
I know
Yeah.
nothing about computers, but it would make sense that a wave is more accessible than like a line.
yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
But it also prevents dropouts.
Yeah.
Are we still on or is
No,
it-
we're on.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, it's
okay.
just sometimes it intermittently drop out. Anytime you hear that little ding, it's like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
shit.
So it's
All
like
right,
a little
internet's
gap.
gone. Yeah.
Dude, I like that because it has a little bit of a digital effect the way you laid out the.
This time I added a little bit of opacity. Last time I didn't add enough, so it's kind of like it was a bit overboard last time for sure. But
For those who are listening on my podcast, like on the audio, definitely check out the YouTube channel because this is the visuals are sick on it.
He's gonna cut everything. Like it's gonna end up being like a 30-minute podcast. Like, we just get omitted out.
no. Hey, that's fine. There's probably there's usually some fluff. I don't mind the fluff being edited.
Raw and refined.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you
Nah,
want
I try to keep everything. Like the only thing I do edit out was like little small talk in the beginning, so it's not like the little awkwardness. But yeah. I wanted to talk to you about the Shrooms.
While this song comes
The
on.
Shrooms, right? Oh, that was perfect. Yeah. So what year
Ongos.
was that? Would you say? What was that? 2000.
I can't do years. I can give you like years from today. So probably like 7 years ago.
Okay. So 7 years ago is probably like 2013, 2014-ish, 15 latest.
Okay.
So like around that time was when I met you. We were on the way to Vegas. We were just having a really good conversation, but you recommended that book Be Here Now. And I remember you literally came to my house and gave it to me. I remember you told me you bought like copies and you're like, yeah, I'm giving these away. And I was completely blown away Like
A
I
lot
was
of
like,
people
I
do that.
never met anybody who. That was my first time ever experiencing anything
Yeah.
like that. Honestly,
I know a few people that have done that, where they just buy a bunch of copies of that book and they give it out.
Well,
like that.
that book is very special
Yeah.
to me. On like,
I went out and bought it a couple times actually afterwards, and I gave it to a couple people. in the
forward.
same spirit that you gave it to me, like
Yeah.
in that same spirit, honestly.
Well, the metaphysical ties is why it's so important. Like the fact that that book played a role on a trip is like what like cracked my brain and made me understand how relevant it is.
Did you read it before the trip? Or
Yeah, I did read it before the trip.
before?
A combination of talking to Sam and reading that book is probably what led me to finally take shrooms. Because I mean, I just would have never even thought about it because I was just too scared of the idea. I guess I'm kind of a control freak, you know. So like, you know, shrooms scares me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. dude.
But yeah, man. After reading that book and talking to you, it just I was like, okay, I get it. And then especially because I did a lot of research on shrooms, learning about how people use it to deal with like addiction or PTSD or anxiety or whatever, you know. It's pretty interesting. And so that kind of gave me a more open mind. I bought them and everything. I made a big old, like, I made a day about it. Like, I bought them and I bought orange juice. I packed a little joint. I
So
packed my backpack.
ritual basically. You do
Yeah,
ritual.
pretty much. Yeah, like I went out to the park and you know, I was smoking and then I ate the shrooms, and there was like this group of kids, like young kids, dude, like must have been like between 12 and 14, like that young, and they were hanging out with this like older homeless guy, and they were all smoking a cigarette, and the homeless guy offered me a cigarette, and I was like, yeah, because I'm super nervous because I just took shrooms, so I'm like, let me smoke a cigarette to calm my nerves. And as I'm talking to this homeless guy, I flick my cigarette, and my cigarette breaks. And I'm like, oh, it's probably a sign I probably shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. And this guy, he's like very persistent about me having another one. He's like, no, take another. And I'm like, nah, I think it's a sign, bro. Like, especially because I had just finished.
Forcing it on you?
Dude,
Yeah,
so
like he
right
was
there, tension while he's already feeling anxious and nervous
Exactly.
and embarking on a new thing.
Totally.
Isn't that weird how mushrooms do that, dude? I
peer
gotta
pressure.
tie in. Remind me to tie it back into
Yeah.
what you just said. Keep going though.
All right. So this is so crazy, dude. Because it's anyway. So this guy, and then it kind of gets confrontational. Like and I think he was not right. Maybe he was schizophrenic or had something wrong with him in the head, because he starts telling me that he's gonna take me to Wattis and shit. Like, and I'm like, all right, dude. And I literally told him, I was like, all right, dude. I literally just took shrooms. I can't do this right now.
What age are you?
I'm 30.
No, and the.
Oh,
story?
in this scenario, like 22, 23
Okay.
ish. So I was like, dude, I literally just took shrooms. I cannot do this right now. And I literally just walked away. Like, just turned my back and walked away. And this
Anybody
was,
who's done shrooms would know exactly to back off at that second.
I was like, I'm not about to get in a fight with some homeless guy while I'm
Oh,
about
shit.
to start tripping on shrooms. What if I rip an eye out or something? You know what I mean? Or like, whatever.
We'll see. And now that encounter probably resonated throughout your trip, or did you forget about it?
It's crazy, dude. It's super crazy. So I have you ever been to Marty Robbins?
Park, yeah.
Yeah. So like I was in the back of the park and I was walking from the back of the park to the front, and as I was walking, my family is not close at all. Like, we don't talk. Like, my aunts, cousins, and all that stuff, we don't really talk. And I saw my aunt, dude, my aunt, that I hadn't seen like in over 5 years. She's walking right past me, and I'm tripping the fuck out because I'm like, yo, I don't know if this is the shrooms, because this has literally been
It
less
is.
than. No, it was literally less than like 20 minutes, dude.
No,
that I
it
took
is.
them.
It's the spirits.
Well, maybe like maybe they attracted her, but I truly believe she was there. I don't believe I hallucinated her. Like, I truly believe.
No, I mean the fact that you're encountering someone who you don't talk to while
Yeah.
you're sensitive and anxiety ridden already. That scenario is like coming to you from the mushrooms. Like, it's
Yeah.
calling these confrontations or like difficult, energetic, psychological circumstances.
That's
to you.
interesting. I never thought about it from that aspect, but I totally agree with it because, yeah, man, like, I really do believe that was my aunt. Like, I don't believe that was a hallucination because I remember when the shrooms hit, and it wasn't until quite a while after this whole scenario.
How many grams?
It was like 2.5. I don't know how many grams. It was like 2.5 shrooms, maybe like close to 3.5 grams. I'm assuming.
Okay.
It wasn't a whole lot.
That's
That's
a
a
big
lot.
dose.
But like for my
definitely
first
enough.
time, it was like,
No, 3 grams is a big dose.
yeah, it was. Well,
I
that's
mean,
what I did.
you
Yeah.
know,
Nah, I mean,
People are gonna say I do 10
your
grams
first
all the
time,
time.
yeah.
But
I hear
for most
people,
people,
like,
3
yeah,
grams is a
that's-
huge,
your first time, dude.
especially your first time.
I hung out with like a bunch of punks and like metalheads, so like 2 grams always seemed like not like normal.
Dude,
you know what I mean? Like
We chill on 1 gram nowadays, dude. Like, we do half grams. We went camping the other day. We all did a half gram out in the forest, and even
Yeah.
that was like starting to bring those crazy thoughts and those crazy psychological situations.
that's crazy, man. Especially like when you're way out there. I don't know.
That's a different twist too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But also,
microdosing in
nature is
general,
forgiving.
'cause,
Like nature's good to us.
a lot of like the Silicon Valley people, that became a big trend over there. Just microdosing, just
Yeah.
like barely noticeable amounts, like 0.2, 0.3, very very small. And even then, like the MAPS, the organization that studies psychedelic usage, they advocate a lot of health benefits for microdoses. Like if you have depression, microdosing continuously for like a few weeks will help cure your depression. Like damn near close to curing your depression.
And when I remember I told you before I did shrooms, I was like reading a bunch of stuff about it. I think that's how they said that they would actually do them. They would prescribe them. They wouldn't prescribe somebody like, yo, just trip out on shrooms.
Yeah.
No, they would microdose them. And it was through microdosing they could get over like PTSD, anxiety,
Right.
depression, and addiction and all that stuff. But
I mean, having that point of reference to know what two grams is like,
yeah,
I
I get you. I do
So-
get you.
Basically, you did 2.5, 3.
About like if I can remember correctly, it was definitely at least 2. It was definitely at least 2
that'll get
grams.
you flying.
Yeah. So I did them, and then I see my aunt, and she looks at me. She's like, "I know you." She smiles at me, and she's like, "I know you." And I was
Isn't
like,
that already very mushroom-like?
trip. Yeah.
"Exactly, dude." Okay, so hear this out. And I'm like, I was frozen, almost frozen in fear. I just wave, and I keep walking, and so I'm like, okay. I'm just waiting for them to hit me because I'm like, I don't feel any different,
This is amazing.
And so I'm walking from Marty Robbins Park to the neighborhood Walmart. I don't know if you know the point of reference. That's like maybe about a mile.
Okay.
About a mile walk-ish,
That's
give or take.
good walk.
Yeah, so like I'm walking there, and then this is where I'm starting to feel it. Start feeling the tingling in my stomach.
So you're not even tripping yet?
I'm not even tripping yet at this point. Now, when I hit Walmart walking, because my destiny or my mission is to go to a different park called John Phelan Park, which is probably like from Marty Robbins like 2.5 miles.
Okay.
So and I always walk everywhere, so it's just always so anyway. I'm at McDonald's, Walmart, and I see these people. I hear my name, and I think I'm tripping, but it's actually somebody I know. I used to go to church, and it was these people that I knew from a church I used to go to. And they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to the park."
So you're just bumping into all these familiar people.
Yeah,
that
like
you
legit.
hadn't
And they
seen in
gave me a
years?
ride.
That's very mushrooms.
They gave me a
It's so
fucking ride.
mushrooms.
They gave me a ride to the park, and I remember when we were in the car, they were telling me, they're like, "We miss seeing you. Like, we miss you being at the church." And like, I honestly had a lot of good relationships at that place. Like, that's a whole nother story. But they were really good people. Those people who gave me a ride, they were
So it
like
was a positive encounter?
very positive encounter. Those people were honestly like, they're just very, very heartfelt people. It's always great to see them. So like, I don't know, and they have a lot of love for me too, and I could just feel it all in that moment,
That's
all the
beautiful.
sincerity and love. And I think they knew that I was high because they've dealt with a lot of people like drug addicts and stuff, working at a church. I don't know, I felt like they were like worried for me, but like
So you were picking up on some vibes.
a little bit, but the vibes I was picking up on was not judgment. It was more like care, like
Concern with care.
concern, care, love, sincerity, and I literally, I remember like when they dropped me off, we both were like tearing at each other, like, yeah.
So
Yeah.
an honest, heartfelt moment. Do you attribute it to you being high? Were you high at that time?
I was feeling it for sure. That was like the first wave.
So would you say that experience was like triggered by
Yeah.
your openness?
For sure. Like, I always try to be as sincere as I can. I think everybody does, or I hope everybody does, but I think everybody's always trying to walk the fine line of being sincere and appropriate. Because it's like,
Yes.
it's like I love you and I want to show my love for you, but I have to be appropriate, and I I can't be embarrassing or whatever. You know what I mean?
Or I don't want to intrude on
Exactly.
your feelings.
Yeah, and I think like and that it was just pure sincerity. It was like, you know, it was pure sincerity,
I get that.
pure heartfelt sincerity. It was like it was beautiful. You know? It was a
Okay.
really beautiful moment. They dropped me off at the park, and I was there chilling at the park, and I remember that was a day where it was like one of those summer days where it was gonna rain. So like one half of the sky was sunny with clouds, and the other half of the sky was like black rain clouds coming in. And I just remember looking up at the sky, thinking there's like a war in the sky, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, it was like so trippy. I remember feeling like I was sinking into the grass
Dude,
and shit.
This is
Dang.
amazing. This is an amazing first time.
It was like, and dude, this is all by myself, like just walking around the area
They
on
were good to
shrooms.
you. They're always good to you the first few times. They're always nice to you the
Depends.
first few times.
Depends.
Mostly.
I've heard
Horror
horror
stories?
on
Yeah.
the
Well,
first one.
I mean,
yeah.
if you're at Astro World.
Yeah. Or a Woodstock 99.
Can you imagine? Some sad fuck took his first psychedelic trip at Astro World, and it was the
That
worst.
poor fucking soul.
He's gonna go join the Latter-day Saints church or something.
He become, beauty.
Watch
is,
that be like that life-changing moment that just puts him off into like this amazing direction that just
exactly.
changes his life
Exactly.
forever.
Because that's the thing. The more painful and the more difficult the struggle, the better the benefit at the end of it. So, like, ask anybody who's had a really, really bad trip. They're some of the most valuable things that you
Yeah.
go through and that teach you. But, so, like, tell me what happened after.
Yeah. Let's see. You made me
The-
think
the-
about
the
like a trip that I had that was
Skies
scary.
are warring.
The skies, they were warring, and then I was sinking into the grass, and there was this really cute girl who walked up to the park, and she asked me if I had a cigarette, and I couldn't stop laughing, dude. I couldn't stop laughing when she asked me if I had a cigarette.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude, and I was like,
You should have taken that one from the homeless guy.
exactly. That's
Dude.
All right,
exactly.
I'm gonna take it, but I'm not gonna smoke it. I'm gonna need this for later.
Yes, and that would have solved your earlier problem.
Exactly.
Like, you would have obliged.
You guys have no idea how much I was laughing. Like, she's like, "You don't
Irony.
happen to have a cigarette, do
Irony.
you?" And I just started laughing like a madman, and she even
Oh
looked
my
at me
God.
like, "Why are you, like, you fucking weirdo? Like, why are you
That's
laughing like that?"
amazing, dude.
And I was like, "You have no idea. It's just there
Wow.
was a homeless man," and I was like, "Oh, never mind. No, I don't have a cigarette."
Oh my god.
You see, no, because
You need
you
to
know,
write
there's
this. This should
you know,
be a
'cause my
short
bank
story.
account and there's a homeless man and
Yeah, dude, like it was like
Never mind.
exactly like that. Like I was like,
it's like
"You have
Kevin
no
Hart and
idea
shit.
what you just did to me right
That's
now." Like,
amazing.
it was hilarious, dude. But so then I had to pee, and there's no bathrooms anywhere. And because I'm on shrooms, I'm not gonna pee in a corner like a normal person. And so like, I'm like, no, I have to go find a bathroom because if I pee out in the public, I don't know, someone's gonna call the cops or some shit.
Yeah,
You're already
what is
like-
it? Public? What is it? Indecent
Something.
exposure
So-
or something?
At this time, like, you haven't really had any negative feelings?
No, at this moment, I'm probably coming like, you know how like it comes in waves, like you'll feel it and then you
Yes.
feel a little sober.
Yep.
At this, probably I'm feeling a little sober. It's like pre-second wave, you know, and I have to pee, and I'm like, fuck, where am I gonna go pee? And I'm like literally in the heart of a neighborhood where there's no. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna start walking my way towards a corner store, which is a good walk, like maybe like 25 minutes, and we'll just go. And the urge kept having to come worse and worse.
So it was another battle on your journey.
So I just started running. And I just started running.
Running on mushrooms.
Run for it.
And then I realized I'm running. And I started laughing at the fact that I'm running. And then I realized I'm running down this residential street laughing my ass off. Apparently, if somebody saw me, they would see that this guy's doing this for no reason. That there's just some psycho running down the street laughing like a
Context.
madman.
There's no context.
There's no context. Like, and then when I finally make it to the end of the street, I didn't give a fuck. Like, I literally whipped out my dick and just peed.
And the funny thing is, like, out of all the things that people do, like, that might be embarrassing in public, that might be one that's forgivable for everybody because everybody's been in that situation.
Yeah, I'm sure.
As long as you're not just being like an drunk asshole.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, I mean that's thank God for alcohol, because I always remember that scene in Fear and Loathing where it's just like, don't worry, they're just gonna think we're drunk. Like, you can be on any other substance. It's like, no, they just think we're drunk. Like, it's
That's
cool.
fair.
Like,
That's pretty fair.
as long as you're not under 21, you're good. Like, sorry, officer, I'm fucking drunk. Like,
Yeah, man. I ended up going to Wiener Schnitzel afterwards. I saw this guy named Jude. that I knew, that I went to high school with.
Biblical, right?
Yeah, biblical name for sure. And he was working at Wiener Schnitzel, and I was trying to make it appear that I wasn't on shrooms, but the floor was like,
Wiener Schnitzel.
the floor was moving and shit, you know, like
That battle of like trying to remain calm and look calm when you're not is like, it's a weird little dance.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just want to lean into it, like fuck it, like I'm trying too hard. They know something's up because I'm trying not to make it look like something's up.
Have you ever tried listening to binaural beats on shrooms?
Not on shrooms, actually.
Really? This motherfucker. Don't you have a song? No, the Sun one was something else, right?
That's that's much later in my life. When I during my psychedelic phase, I wasn't too familiar with binaural beats at the time. But during COVID, man, when we had like the heavy lockdown and they sent everybody home, I went through a heavy just stage of listening to binaural beats every single day, and that's what turned me on a lot into like frequency therapy and like audio visual synchronized.
See, we were talking about this last podcast. Tell them about the David.
Right. So there's this device called, well, there's a few of them, but the more popular one, the one that I own, is called the David, the digital audio video integration device. It's made by a company called Mind Alive, and it's a pair of sunglasses and a pair of headphones. The sunglasses have LEDs on the inside which flash lights at a specific vibration hertz, and then the headphones will be in sync with that frequency. So you're literally hearing and seeing the same like strobing lights and pulsing sounds.
And it purportedly has health benefits.
Yeah.
Oh, can you get like hallucinogenic
effects from that?
Yeah.
Well, there is a company called iDozer. I don't know if you ever heard of iDozer.
No.
There's a company called iDozer, and they sell a CD, and each track on the CD is a specific binaural beat, which they claim will influence a specific feeling, mimicking a drug. So like track 1 is mushrooms, track 2 is DMT, track 3 is mescaline.
Wow.
But I tried those, and to be honest, I don't know, it didn't do much for me.
Didn't get the effect. Did you feel anything at all, like anything?
Well, definitely, like if you go to the site, the Mind Alive site, I think it's just mindalive.com. Like that's probably the most comprehensive actual like peer-reviewed studies you can find on this topic. And from what they say, it's like they've done studies where it's just with just strobing lights, no sound, and then they've done studies where it's just pulsing sounds, no light, and then of course the combination of the two being the strongest. But they say that binaural beats in comparison to just like strobing lights is like very ineffective. I mean, you do get some effects from it. So binaural beats are somewhat effective, but not as effective as strobing lights, and then definitely not as effective as both in sync.
I know we went off on a tangent. You're going back to listening to it on mushrooms.
Yeah, I wanna touch on what you were talking about though, if I can. I was listening to a thing on YouTube that I wanted to talk about too. It's called by this guy named Terrence McKenna. I don't know if you guys.
Oh yeah.
All right, for sure.
For sure.
So he was talking about how he believes that the first religion was a psychedelic one, like how and how now we're even creating machines that'll give us psychedelic effects or psychedelic experiences.
Yes, he believed that technology would be able to induce. It would get so good that it could induce hallucinogen-like.
That's what we're getting.
States of ecstasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that ties with because you built on that idea, right? You wanted to add another element to.
Well, yeah. This device is expensive, dude. It costs $600. The reason why it's so expensive is because it's very popular with the military. It's very effective for PTSD, very effective for ADD, very effective for stuff such as like fibromyalgia, depression.
Wow.
And yeah, like I said, you go to the website mindalive.com. There's a bunch of articles and peer-reviewed like scientific studies that have been in scientific journals describing these experiments. But it's very expensive. It's a $600 device. And I was always kind of wondering who's going to be the first person to introduce that into a VR world, to make that.
Oh my God.
That basically that concept, but put it into
right
a VR
now.
app, and it would be much more affordable. It would be like a $20 app. You download it from the App Store on your VR headset,
Facebook.
and it's just literally
That's where the metaverse
But-
comes in.
Exactly.
medicine or poison. While it's medicinal and has many benefits, it can also fuck you up. It can be detrimental to your health if used incorrectly. As a matter of fact, this is where it gets really interesting. There's a setting on that device where you can mimic gamma waves, and gamma waves are some of the most rare brain waves. So, when you're asleep, you're doing delta and theta waves. In your waking state, you're doing alpha and beta waves. So beta is like your studying waves. Alpha is kind of like your more meditative, like creative waves.
Mm-hmm.
But very few humans can exhibit gamma waves in their waking state, which is somewhere around like 40 hertz.
Is that like meditation?
Yeah, so very high-level monks, they'll stick them in like an MRI machine after a very
Wow.
deep meditation, or they'll test
And
them with the
they're doing
EEG nets, and they emit gamma brain waves. And so when I first got that device, I'm like amateur. Of course, I've heard of the monk thing, so I want to try it.
Yeah.
And I remember I threw it on, and it's fast. 40 hertz waves are like, compared to a 10 hertz wave, like a 10 hertz alpha wave is like, like you hear it. A 40 hertz wave is just like really
high pitched.
very fast pulsing sound. So I tried it, and in the middle of my session, my sister came over, and like, I had to get up, I had to exit the session, and it fucked me up, dude. I was like, cause I was into it. I was really just like, I was in that deep meditation state, and then all of a sudden, I got dogs at my house. I hear the doorbell ring, and then all the dogs start going crazy, just bark, 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 ding, 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 bark, 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 ding, ding. And I'm just like, oh my God. I took the headset off, I took the thing off, but literally my fucking brain was just like
Because like
pulsing.
you didn't adjust.
And,
like,
yeah.
you went right out of like cold water into like
Right.
hot water.
Yeah. So it can be detrimental to your health
There
as
was one
well in
time-
cases like that.
There was one. I'm sorry.
No, dude, I'm done. Yeah, go for it.
But there was one time where I did try binaural beats when I was on Shrooms, and I did it with some friends. We were in my friend's apartment, and it was I just out of curiosity, the idea came into my head, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, like I'm so glad I thought of this,
That's a great thought to have.
Yeah, and I immediately busted out my headphones, and I was looking on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what this is gonna do. And no bullshit, dude. As soon as it fucking came on, I had to rip my fucking headphones off and throw them out because tears just started pouring out of my face, tears, bro, as if I was bawling, it was not like I controlled it, It
Was it emotionally triggered or
it was
just
emotional,
physically?
but it wasn't sad tears. It was grateful, beautiful, grateful tears, And they actually, I don't know if this is true, but I read it or heard it recently, that the composition of your tears are different depending if you cry for sorrow or if you cry for gratitude.
Masaru Emoto, we brought him up the other day.
Yeah. So I definitely had that feeling of gratitude, not the feeling of sorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it made me wonder,
tears of joy.
if I tried a different binaural beat, you know what I mean? Would it?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of different ones
Yeah.
too. Which one did you listen to?
I
Do you
couldn't
remember?
tell you. I couldn't remember.
Are you
honestly.
familiar with the Schumann Resonance?
I've heard of it. Is that the Earth frequency?
Yeah, the Earth frequency. It's 7.83 hertz.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's the one that I typically go to meditate on. Honestly.
Yeah, and then I've heard there's different ones because binaural beats, for those that don't know, it's two separate frequencies in the ear, and your brain interprets the difference. So you can have a 200 hertz wave playing in your left ear, and then a 210 hertz wave playing on your right ear, and so you hear the difference of a 10 hertz wave.
You create a unique wave in your mind.
Yeah, and it's an illusion.
It requires the observer, which is fascinating.
Right. It's because you can't actually. And we talked about this last time too. You can't hear a 10 hertz wave. Your ears are only capable of hearing 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So the fact that your brain interprets this 10 hertz pulse, if you will, is very interesting. But see that leads into a whole bunch of other things, because you could be doing 200 and 210, or you could be doing 150 and 160. Or you could be doing 100 and 110, and they all do different things to you. So there's I forget, there's a bunch of different guys that study this, but one guy in particular made a chart, and they found that it's more effective around like the 100 to the 150 hertz range. So like bass
So crazy.
frequencies. And that's interesting because most people, like the fundamental frequency of your voice is about 100 to 150 hertz.
Wow.
So like listening to binaural beats close to the range of the human voice is more effective than hearing, you know, a 50 and a 60 hertz or like a 300 and a
Because it's more
310 hertz.
natural, and like the brain is already primed for those frequencies.
Right.
So crazy.
So yeah, if you are looking at binaural beats, you know, try to see what frequencies in particularly they're because there's a lot of frauds too on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just people just, you know, doing
I
it
would
for
say
that
a
ad
majority
money.
of them.
I
Yeah.
got the best binaural beats,
Dude,
bro.
my
This
binaural beats are
was
the
made by
best.
Dre.
Well, let me ask you guys. on
Binaural
your-
beats by Dre.
Where you hear like.
Oh, the fucking horn. The annoying ass horn. At 2 different frequencies.
Right. A binaural beat DJ horn.
Oh
Dude.
man.
It's a
But, like,
trip.
Most of the binaural beats on YouTube that I see, they have like some weird like wind chimes playing in the background or something, you know. And I'm like, nah, I just want the
Yeah.
plain old Jano.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hertz
you
on this
want
one.
the saw wave. Give me
Yeah.
the fucking
Yeah.
saw wave.
I don't
baby.
want. Like, and I. That's why I say like I think a majority of the binaural beats on YouTube are not legitimate. They're like some weird wind chime in the background with maybe a binaural beat somewhere in there.
Somewhere,
Yeah.
No, and it's so relative too, because it all depends on ultimately, like when I was really researching binaural beats, I started getting into musical tunings. And for those who aren't musicians, you know, when you go to school at the, you know, grades, you know, elementary school level, they teach you to tune at 440 hertz.
Oh yeah.
That's just like, you know, if you get a guitar tuner.
It wasn't always like that though, right?
No, it's been different throughout the years, and that's a
Yeah.
very interesting topic in itself. Just like, why do we tune a certain way?
Because classical music is different, right? It's like it's 432 or something like that.
Yeah, so 432. That's what I was gonna bring up. There's the 432 hertz. It's become like a cult now, where these people go out there and they they swear to God that's the way, that's the best tuning, that's God's tuning.
I know a guy who's like
it's,
that.
It's more resonant with the DNA and this and that. And dude,
Pull a little closer.
I've done a lot of math. You know, during COVID, I had nothing else to do. You know, you're trapped in the house, and
Yeah.
they sent us home for work, and you know, I started using Excel and making like these massive spreadsheets of just like, okay, well, what happens if you tune at 432? What happens if you tune at 440 hertz?
Yes.
And it's really interesting because, well, for one, you can actually calculate the distance between a DNA, like what do they call it, a crest and a trough, like a sine wave, like the point at which it peaks and then the point at which
The
it bottoms.
dips. Yeah.
So a sine wave, you know, is like a peak and a bottom. So you can calculate the point at which the DNA does that, you know, like once it repeats again, where the DNA kind of repeats again. I forget what they call it. I can't believe I forgot this.
What? As a wave?
But yeah.
It's a wave term?
The distance of a DNA.
Oh, so it's a genetic term.
Yeah.
Okay.
The point at which a DNA starts to repeat, like the 23 chromosomes
Yeah,
repeat,
yeah.
you know. And
Like
so
your next set of 4? Because it's always in 4, right?
well, Gattaca is it's like those are the 3 letters of which compose the sentence of
Right.
your
and
DNA
it's always
code.
like 4 it's always combinations of 4 though, right?
No, it's combinations of 23.
Oh, the Gattaca sequence is 23 and
Yeah.
then another 23 and then
Yeah,
another
because your parents both give you 23 and 23, and so they merge, and you have like one half
So
is your
wild.
mom, one half is your dad, but it's 20 it's 23. It's a 23 sequence of those 4 letters,
Okay.
but it repeats, and so there's a distance that you can calculate between those 23 sequences. And I calculated it, dude. I did all this math, and it ended up being something like 427.85 hertz or something. So all those people talking about like 432 and this and that, I was like, well, you're a little bit off there. It's not quite 432. So then, but then it led me on this whole other trip. Well, it's like, well, what if I do, you know, I actually started at the bottom. So there's another tuning. There's another cult of tuners that they swear to God that scientific tuning is the best way to do it. And the way you do that is you start at 1 hertz and you go 1, 2, 4, 8, all the way up to 256, 512.
Okay.
So they tune to 512 hertz because that's more, it's scientific tuning, scientific doubling. So I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. They're just doubling 1, 2, 4. What if you double, 3, 6, 12? And I made like these massive spreadsheets. And one thing I discovered, it gets pretty interesting. A lot of it is conjecture at this point, but it's interesting nonetheless. And I made a song about it. When you tune at 444 hertz, when you half that, it's 222 hertz. When you half that, it's 111 hertz. When you double 444 hertz, you get 888.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of stuff about Nikola Tesla, how he was obsessive compulsive about the number 3. And it would get to the point where he would do everything in 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would knock 3 times. He would go walk up and down the street 3 times before he would go home, like that kind of stuff.
Or like walk around his hotel 3 times before he would check in or some shit like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he also had there's like a quote of his flown around on the internet that if you could only understand the power behind the 3s, the 6, and the 9, you would understand the secrets of the universe.
Yeah.
Something like that. Well, the interesting thing about it is if you get 111 and you add it up, you get 3. And if you get 222, you add it up, you get 6. You get 333, you add it up, you get 9. You get 444, you add it up, you get 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. And it just keeps doing that. 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9.
Yeah.
So I made a song using 444 hertz tuning, which isn't that hard to do because all the software that we use is based on 440 hertz.
Okay.
So you just go up 4 hertz. And, aside from the creativeness, I mean, you can listen to the song, and I mean, I don't know that it does anything to you. It's an interesting concept that underlies the whole thing. But I started to dig even deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And I discovered, I don't know if you heard of Magic Squares.
Yeah, yes.
Do you know what Magic Squares are?
Hell yeah.
Oh, dude, that's what's
Hell
up. Like, okay, so the 6x6 Magic Square. So like the simplest one is the 3x3 Magic Squares. I'm gonna break it down just for those who don't know. So you get a 3x3 square, like a tic-tac-toe grid, and you arrange the numbers where every horizontal column and every
I think it's 9.
vertical row equals 15.
15, yeah, okay.
And even the diagonals.
Yeah, the
equal
diagonals
15.
too,
So
yeah.
the 3x3
I
square.
think the corners too or some shit like.
Yeah, like you can.
It's like stupid, like symmetrical, like like.
Right. It gets pretty nuts, and you can do that with every number. There's a 4x4 Magic Square, there's a 5x5 Magic Square, 6x6, all the way up to however high you want to go, but it starts at 3. Well, if you look at the 6x6 Magic Square, all diagonals, rows, and columns equal 111.
Okay.
So that's that tuning. It's 111, 222, 444, 888. And you even get, the number of the devil, the 666, which is kind of taboo at this point. But if you really look into that verse in the Bible of Revelations, it doesn't necessarily say anything like bad about
It just says
the
it's the number of man, right?
It's the number of a man.
Yeah, it's like an identifier more than anything.
And people have tried to flip it and say that like barcodes have 666 or something like that. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fucking Biden administration, Google appears to be 666s, right? The symbol.
Yeah.
Disney, various other symbols.
Disney has the curves and the D and then the I.
CERN.
Oh yeah.
The Large Hadron
sure.
Collider has a 666 as well for its symbol. Well, you can make a 666.
Well,
out of it.
it's interesting because magic squares are how you make sigils. You guys know what sigils are?
Yes.
And it goes kind of back into tulpa, and it goes. What was the word that you said? A servitor.
Servitors.
A servitor.
Yeah.
So sigils kind of play into that idea of like using like magic to manifest your will into reality.
Through art.
And Wiccas do this. A few different other various religions that are more taboo do
I've gotten
this.
Loving
super
this
into
fucking
sigils.
conversation. This is one of the best conversations ever.
Thank you, Sam, for having us, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
Sincerely.
Unlocking.
Dude. I've been excited about this.
Dude, no, and it's all tying together, which is great.
I could talk about sigils for a minute. I'll tell you a story I've had about sigils, like some success stories I've had.
Oh, do it up, man. I'll continue afterwards.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
Tie a bow in that. Where were you going, real quick, or just give me the cliff notes?
All right. Well, the 6x6 Magic Square is typically the most popular sigil for people that to use, or sigil making grid, because you can make sigils with, different various ways, but the 6x6 magic square is a very popular way where Wiccans and other people will use that grid to create a sigil, and that's because it's 36 squares. You have 26 letters plus 10
So your
numbers.
refractal
It's
sign,
alpha.
your
It's
refractal symbol
alphanumeric.
is a 666.
No, that's a 3x3 magic square. But the 6x6 magic square is often used to create sigils because it's alphanumeric. It's 26 letters plus 10 numbers. That's 36. So they use it, and literally it's like, you pick a letter. So if you want like a certain girl, or if you like, you want to go out with this girl, whatever, you write her name down, and so say her name is like, I don't know, Erica or something. So E is 5, R is whatever, like 17, I is 9, C is 3, and 1 is A. So then you draw a sigil. You just connect the
Connecting
letters,
dots, and then you
with
make a
the
picture
6x6
of it.
magic
Yeah.
square, and then you do certain things to it. You put it into a pendant, and you
Yeah.
wear it, or you bury it, or something.
There's
like
different
that.
ways like people do that. That's like one way. The way that I've done sigils is has nothing to do with magic squares, although I have heard of people using magic squares for sigils like that, and it looks really cool. Like the art that they make, it does have a more sigil look, like versus. But I guess like so the way that I've done sigils, or what I was taught how to do sigils, is you write a statement of intent, which starts off like it is my will.
Where did you learn this?
Frater. It was a mix. So I learned it from Frater, and then I also like started studying
that channel,
sigils.
that Mind Magic channel.
Yeah, Mind and Magic channel.
Yeah,
I've never heard of
so
that.
you probably brought sigils into my awareness, I think.
Maybe
back then.
I'm like all about sigils and
'Cause
chaos magic.
Did you ever see the bald white guy who was like talking about his sigil experience? He draws comics.
Yeah.
What's his name?
He's an artist from Marvel. It starts with a G. He's actually he's also part of the Satanic Church. He gave that speech at the Satanic
Holy
Church
shit.
Dude,
about sigils.
he started talking about how the comics he was drawing was like
was sigils.
making his life. Like
Yeah.
he would draw something in
Yeah.
a comic and it would happen in
It
his
would
life.
happen in his life.
Now, do you perceive that, like, because I know some people that perceive Satanism as just like not a negative thing, where they're just all about letting loose your desire and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But there are the people that view
There's both.
Satanism as
There's
a
like-
very evil
Satanism's
thing.
like an umbrella term.
Yeah.
So
it's almost lost
is
its,
this
like-
guy viewing it from a positive viewpoint or negative?
That's a good question, to be
viewpoint?
honest.
I don't know anything
yeah.
else about that guy other than that video I saw.
Garrett Morrison, something like
Yes!
that. Is that his name?
It was
Garrett
great, dude. He
Morrison.
did a talk about like basically like magic and like sigils and shit, and he's the one that told me about like humans being 5D worms, basically.
Oh yeah, totally.
But is his outlook like?
Well, you can't tell. You
Anti-human?
can't tell from
yeah,
that.
Is it-
from
talk.
that little clip, you can't tell.
Yeah.
He might be either way. Truly.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it ties it into what I was gonna say too, because the 6x6 magic square is often used by a lot of Satanists too,
Yeah.
which is it's disheartening because it's like we're circling back to that same topic, man. Medicine or a poison, it can be it's so powerful. It can be a medicine, but could also be a poison. It just depends on how you use it.
Totally. I think
Anyways.
I think it would appeal to Satanists more because Satanists are so structured. I think a true Satanist, like an actual worshiper of like Beelzebub and the whole demonic hierarchy, would probably feel a lot more at home in a Catholic church where there's structure and order and ritual versus feeling at home at a place like a metal show where there's quote unquote Satanists,
Yeah.
And I think that's why they're like attracted to something like using squares and numerology and things that are so structured and because the way that I was doing sigils was more just writing a statement of intent, and you're supposed to cross out the double letters. So like you take, like, for example, it's like it is my will that I want a car or whatever the case may be, and you take the first letter I in it and you circle it and put it aside and then cross out all the other I's, and then the T, circle it, cross out all the
Oh,
other T's. So it's like
interesting.
process of elimination, and then you're left with these letters, and then you take these letters and you just create like a picture, like either overlapping the letters on top of each other, or you can just draw a picture, like let's say a picture that you got, and you can just hide letters in the picture and shit.
Interesting.
You know, and there's different ways people charge it. Some people will wear it like a necklace.
Yeah.
Some people will come on it. You know.
Oh my
Some
God.
people
Some people will bleed on it.
Yeah, no, for real, for
Yeah.
real. Yeah, it's true. Like bodily fluid, tears, cum, blood, whatever, spit.
In the process that you heard of, do they bury it like during a specific time of year, like during a full moon, or?
I mean, like, I've heard a lot of different ways to use it, you know. And there are some people who bury it, people who burn it. There are some people who believe that it's important to destroy it after you do it, because if you don't destroy it, then you're holding on to it, and holding on to the thing that you're asking for is the best way not to get it. You know, you're supposed to have that law of detachment,
Right.
and just say, you know what, I trust that I know that I got it, and then it comes to you. You know what I mean? It's like,
And then it comes.
yeah, and then
to
it
you?
comes to you. Exactly.
Dude, it's a trip. I don't, this is I'm very reserved in saying this next part, but I'm gonna throw it out there because I mean it is a thought that I had. But circling back to the Tesla thing, I do, when I was really researching the frequency part of this all, like, I got this sense that, like, Tesla unlocked something with this secret. And I don't know if you've ever heard of, like, the Tesla death ray.
Yeah.
It's essentially like, what's that thing in Star Wars? The planet destroyer.
Yeah. I've never seen any of the Star Wars, so you have to forgive me. I'm sorry, dude.
Like
I'm
the central theme
But,
of
the
Star
Death Ray,
Wars
yeah.
is there's like this
The Death Star.
this I think it's the
it's the
is
Death
it called
Star,
the
right?
Death Star, Sam, in
Right,
Star
Sam?
Wars?
Thank you.
In
bud.
the Star Wars movies where that planet destroying machine, is it called the Death Star?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
AKA the moon.
there's some theories that the hollow moon.
Right.
There's some theories that Tesla actually created a Death Star-like beam, and I have this feeling that it has something to do with these numbers. And that's what I'm saying. It's interesting that it's tied into this 666 thing, because it could be very powerful and very beneficial, or it could be very dangerous and destructive.
As with all tools.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen? Do you guys watch American Horror Story at all?
I've seen like the first
Have you seen the
3
new
or
one?
4 seasons.
The new one was weird, right? Wasn't it space? I
Yeah,
didn't
with
see any
Eisenhower, I
episode.
think.
Is that the one with the ad where it's like the alien kissing the
Yeah,
vampire or some shit?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
The
seen
vampire
any
one I thought
episodes.
was kind of weird. I didn't like that one, but the alien one was really interesting because I want to tie it into like what you're talking about with technology and stuff, because it's that conspiracy theory that I think Eisenhower, he made a deal with the aliens to
Yeah.
give us technology.
That final speech about
Yeah.
the military industrial.
Exactly. And well, that was the theme of the American Horror Story, you know.
I gotta go watch it. Okay.
And you see, I feel like American Horror Story is like our modern day. What is that operation where they say they put it in movies first? Predictive programming.
Yes.
Yeah. So like American Horror Story is very much that. Like there's another season where they have like where there's a cult of Hollywood elitists tied in with mafioso politician elitists that are satanic running
Lady
the world.
Gaga in that one? Was that the Lady Gaga one?
I think
Oh
so.
my
I don't
god!
know.
And then Lady Gaga's in it too.
I don't know.
Was Marina Abramovich in it?
Right? Might as well. Like honestly, but
Damn.
But yeah, it was like so blatant in your face. You know, it was just like unreal.
Truth. They always
Unreal.
tell you through media, Hollywood is just a big magic stick to.
Well, talking about
illusion.
sigils, it's like bringing your will into manifestation, like and then we're talking about Satanists.
What better
using
way
these
to do it?
things, like, it's
What better?
crazy.
Okay, think about
Well,
it.
that's the only way to do it.
Well-
Symbols.
Right, but think about this. If I'm performing a ritual in my room, I'm creating a symbol that's supposed to, what's the word? Represent an outcome that I want, right? I'm spending time, X amount of hours a day, meditating on that symbol to manifest this outcome. How much more powerful would it be if that symbol was turned into a scene that millions of thousands of people are watching everywhere? Putting that energy that I would put X amount of hours a day, they're putting that energy all the time.
Correct. Hence, Super Bowl halftime shows are giant rituals.
So was Astro World.
Yeah. I mean, you had Beyonce doing this, and the
Yeah.
whole crowd was doing it back to her, basically giving her their power.
She even said it. Didn't she say it? She's like, yes, give me your energy. She said something to that effect.
Dude, that reminds me of the Left Eye Club. Is it the Left Eye
Oh, yeah.
Club?
Oh yeah, the bruised eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The black eye or whatever.
With the what do they call it? Because I got really into that for a little bit, and they're saying that it's that the Left Eye Club, the reason why their eyes are black is because there's like
microchip.
the proboscis or something. There's a piece of there's an alien, like a reptilian alien, and it has like a part of itself that contains its consciousness, and it can like put its consciousness into other things, and that it's like I think they call it the proboscis or something like that, and it enters into their eye and stuff. And it's pretty weird, but yeah, I mean the Pope, George Bush, a lot of politicians, Will Smith, like the Left Eye Club. If you haven't seen, man, I wish this would be a perfect moment to pull up the browser, but
like have a little slideshow.
Yeah, but
yeah, we need that browser.
But for people listening at home, like without the visuals, look up the Left Eye Club. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, so we still have to tie all the loose ends.
Shrooms.
We have to unwind, so we have to go in order. So
making sigils on shrooms.
We're gonna go back to you finishing the Did you want to go further with the sun and the color of the sun?
I can.
Okay, I thought that's where you're going, but if you didn't want to finish that, because he kept going, like his ideas, like you ended up making a song. You discovered the frequency of light.
Yeah. Well, the color. So
of the sun.
So if the way that music works, like when you go on a piano, you have 12 notes that repeat, right? And it's just halving and doubling. That's why I was saying like 444, 222, 111, 888. It's just halves and doubles. Well, if you keep doubling 444 up into the terahertz realm, which is where light exists, you get the color of the sun. So the 444 hertz wave emits like this yellow orangish light.
Interesting.
And you can buy I think it's 614 nanometers if you calculate it, and you can buy a 614 nanometer LED, and it's the color of the sun. But interestingly enough, the 6x6 magic square is associated with the sun. So every magic square, like, you remember the alchemy? You remember alchemy, like back in like the 1400s?
Yes.
Heard about it in school, like those people the alchemists that try to make gold out of something, like try to combine two elements to make gold.
Making gold out of lead with the Philosopher's Stone.
The Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
So they associated each magic square to a different planetary body, and I don't remember them all. You can't quote me on this, but I think like the 3x3 square is like Mars, the 4x4 square is Venus, the 5x5 square is like. So the 6x6 square is associated with the sun. It is the magic square of the sun. And then ironically enough, you have these frequencies that when you multiply them up into the realm of light, it's the color of the sun.
Interesting.
And then if you consider what I'm saying about Tesla, it might contain the secret to the power of the sun, maybe some kind of a fusion energy that we haven't been able to tap into, but it's very interesting.
Yes.
I think we'll link it in the description. I have a video, like PowerPoint style presentation, where I break this all down in more detail and have browser links to follow along and references to sort. But we'll throw it in the description.
Just for listeners, this song that just played in the background, this is Refractal, which is Art's duo musician group. So this is a track that he made.
Dope.
So that's a good little plug there.
I was gonna say, I noticed it when it came in too.
So okay, now you have to finish your trip from that day.
Yes. So I was at the park. The girl asked me for cigarettes. First started laughing. Had to peed, and then like at this point, I'm walking down the street. I'm going towards Wiener Schnitzel because I'm hungry. And I remember seeing the little dots on the street that separate the lanes. I remember seeing the lines like moving as if they were like LED lights or something, And I remember this is kind of like where it's just more like a visual trip on me, at this point. I'm just walking down the street and I would see cars stop at a red light, but the wheels would keep moving, and the cars were stopping, but the wheels were moving. And I was like, just like stupid shit like that, And I finally make it to Wiener Schnitzel. The floor is moving, and then I see my friend Jude that I went to high school with. It was the craziest part about my trip is that I kept running into people that I knew. It was like,
it's actually quite amazing.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like just walking around the area of my city that I lived in, running into a bunch of random people that I knew, like random. And so Jude, he was like, "What's up, man?" And I remember just trying to appear that I wasn't high, ordering Wiener Schnitzel, and the floor was moving and shit. And I remember eating, and I remember the food. Like feeling gross because it's Wiener Schnitzel.
Yep.
But I just remember feeling it like filling me up so wholly. Like I was like, I needed this, like, because I was hungry. And then I was walking. I was gonna go home, and at the time I was still living with my parents. And I was like, I don't want to go home yet. I'm still a little high. I don't want to be tripping out, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just gonna kind of walk like around my neighborhood, so that way once it's out, I'm good. And fucking sure enough, dude, I see my friend Noah, AKA Chicken, AKA Luis, fucking Noah. But anyway, shout out to Noah. But yeah, man, he picked me up. I was literally walking down the street, and he called my name. He's like, Jake. And I looked over, and I just see him in a fucking Aztec driving. He picks me up, and I tell him, I'm like, yeah, I'm on shrooms, man. And he's like, what? And we just had this crazy conversation about sigils and numerology and the universe and art. Like, yeah, and art.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that was pretty much the end of it at that point. Like, that was like when I was like, oh.
Couple finishing questions. Visually, did you have visuals the whole time, or when did the visuals kick in? Was there any other notable, strange photon experiences?
The visuals, honestly, I didn't have the main visuals I had were me walking on the street that I told you about, like with the cars and the street, or like the colors of things were definitely almost cartoony at some point, like almost like there was a filter, like on my reality.
From my trips, I like to describe it as it looks like things are moving without going anywhere.
Yeah.
That kind of ties to what you were saying about the car, because the car was stopped, but the wheels were moving. Except mine are like, the image itself is like morphing, but you can't see where it's going. It's just like a nebulous feeling of morphing.
Yes.
When was your first time?
Mushys? I also made a big ass ritual of it, but I only did like a half gram probably. It was with some people in high school. I was junior in high school, and I had a whole filled day. I documented the day that I did mushrooms with pictures.
Oh, dope.
I was digging this giant hole in my grandma's backyard at the time. So I started the day by continuing my dig, and it was like a person deep. I would jump and smoke inside there. And by the time the smoke got to the surface level, it was like gone. So like smoke at the bottom of my hole that I dug in my grandma's backyard. And then I went to the northeast, and we took a very little bit, but it was very active. It was a jubilee. It was very rewarding, laughing. And then we ended it at the park, and we were running at night in the park. Just some kids from school, no one was there, and we were just the sky above us, and laying in the running and then laying in the ground and just spinning and laughing and feeling crazy. But it was a very small amount. But I'm sensitive to psychedelics, I believe. I'm real sensitive to psychedelics. So it just takes a little bit to get me deep into like some weird consciousness trip.
For sure.
So your first trip, you were getting these run-ins, but they were positive.
Yeah.
I have had it where I trip hard and then I run into like darkness. So there was one time I was home by myself. I was trying to do a blindfolded trip with 4 grams.
Oh, fuck.
So I started, I planned this. I had been thinking about it for years.
Trying to bird box it.
Right?
I had planned this for a long time. I wanted to do sensory deprivation. And I started at 1 a.m. So I even went to sleep and set an alarm to wake me up at 1 a.m. to begin my trip. It was serious. It was very serious.
This is some serious
I was doing work.
Yeah.
And so I blindfolded myself, and the trip was amazing all the way until I took the blindfold off. The second I took the blindfold off, like my trip went south.
How long did you last with the blindfold on?
Till like 6 a.m.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, dude.
But I should have left it on.
Oh my fucking god.
Bringing the real world back into my mind after I had been kind of floating in space with my thoughts.
That's what I gotta ask, dude. What was it like being blindfolded for 4 hours on shrooms?
Well, I don't know. There's just a lot of feeling, right? and your thoughts are going crazy, but they didn't scare me because like it was like I was living in the mind and in the imagination. It only got scary once the real world came back. And so the dogs had 3 dogs, and they were going crazy, and they were disrupting the trip. And I was like, okay, well, I should probably be coming down now. It's been long enough. I feel okay. I take the blindfold off, and I'm like, surely it's like late. And then I look and it's 6 a.m. and I was like, oh no. I thought it was like 8 or 9 or like 10 or something. So the dogs start going crazy. They start causing a ruckus. The outside world starts waking up and like being noisy and influencing the trip and shit.
Your peace is disturbed.
My peace is fully disturbed. The dogs won't shut up. They're barking. They're
all
anxious.
The collective energy of people having to wake up and go to work.
But can you
Probably.
imagine like being in a sea of darkness under the influence of shrooms, just floating like in thoughts, being formless?
It's more peaceful.
That's insane.
in my opinion, because
Isolation tanks.
Well, no, I'm not saying like it sounds scary. That sounds extremely peaceful, and I'm just saying like to be in that state for hours and then all of a sudden just like how you said when you were on the binaurals and then somebody walked in and you felt like your head was ringing.
disruption. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you're
Yeah.
right.
Definitely.
It's similar.
It's crazy.
It's a similar disruption
So
of the
wild.
pattern that was like happening. There was no easy. I took off the blindfold and it's like there's my room and like reality's all coming back and
Oh,
But-
man.
That's so heavy.
dude. So the dogs are going crazy. They're anxious and I can feel it. And like I start playing mental games where they're my mind. And so the dogs running around are my mind now. Like they're related to my consciousness. And every time I think, they like get crazier. So I'm like, how do I fix this problem? They must want to walk. So I took them for a walk.
Oh my god.
I took 3 dogs for a walk like an idiot because I didn't want to leave one behind because that would mess with my trip. Like, you know?
Dang.
So I had to take them all for a walk. So I have 3 leashes and then they're still chaotic when we're on the walk.
What kind of dogs are these?
2 Dachshunds, little Dachshunds, mini dogs, and like a Chihuahua.
Okay.
Chihuahua-ish.
Okay. At least it's not like something huge that's gonna yank you or something.
Well, they started jumping all over each other and tangling the leashes.
the leashes get tangled. Oh my god.
And then they were starting to run around me, and I'm dizzy. I'm still like inebriated. It turns out I wasn't coming down. I was still in the throes of like a really hard trip. It's just that it felt like it was coming down because there was no stimuli to like reflect against. I
Yeah.
guess.
How much did you sleep the night before?
I probably went to sleep at like 9:30.
So you only got like 4 hours of sleep before
Sleep
jumping
deprived,
in.
4 grams of shrooms, ready to start the day.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So, dude, as fate would have it, the way these mushrooms work, they're giving me a hard time. I'm bad. It's like a spiritual battle because I want to go back to the house, but we're already too far.
Yeah.
I have to finish the journey.
Yes.
And they're not being compliant, and nothing I'm doing is working.
Yes.
Nothing is changing the situation. So I'm just like Odysseus, just like fucking walking through the mud of hell.
I was gonna
Seeking
say
light,
Frodo.
seeking light at the end of the tunnel.
Going
Like
to
something
Mount
save me,
Mordor.
something make my feelings better. Dude,
Oh my
I'm walking down the street. This woman drives up as I'm walking past her house where she has dogs. And so now her dogs are barking like a motherfucker at my dogs and it's causing a ruckus in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right?
Just,
She pulls up. She's a giant disfigured woman. She has like a crazy like giant head and she's huge and it's
Alright.
fucking with my
oh,
God.
like not actually. You're tripping on shrooms.
no, she's disfigured.
Oh,
She's
actually.
an actually disfigured woman who's like 600 pounds.
Oh shit.
It was crazy. And she comes
Yeah.
out all smiles,
Damn.
happy. She's like, "Oh, hey, let me talk to your dogs. What dogs you
Oh my
got?"
God.
And I'm in like turmoil, and I'm like, "Not now, not this. How could this happen?"
Oh my god.
In my mind, I'm freaking out.
You
I'm
didn't
like,
tell her that,
Don't
did
talk
you?
to me. Don't talk to me, lady. Don't talk. Dude, I'm still tripping balls. I'm like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. And I'm walking, and sure enough, she's walking right towards me. She comes right up to my dogs. My dogs start barking at her, and she's trying to pet them and shit. And she's trying to talk to me like, "Oh, where do you live? Like, I have these." And I'm like, I'm trying to just yes or yes, ma'am, and like, let me go, dude. And she could see it on me the same way that they knew that you were tripping, but this was my hell. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
a good thing. Like, the universe, the mushrooms throw you these difficult situations to like
That's crazy.
make you evolve. And then I get back home, I get in the shower thinking that that's gonna help, and then my mind and my consciousness is like the water, so it's all going down the drain, and I'm falling apart. My ego's dissolving. There's just no comfort. There's like no comfort. It never gave
That's
me
hilarious,
rest. It never let me like feel good. and I've had many of those experiences.
The last
that's
time I
a
did
heavy
shrooms.
dose.
What's up? Oh, you said that's a heavy dose?
That's a heavy dose. What, 4
4
grams?
grams, yeah,
That's a
man.
lot.
Fuck yeah.
Wow.
This motherfucker has stories. We don't need to get into it, but I mean, this fool's like gone to hell.
I've done. I know what it is to do too much.
Damn, bro. You can OD on shrooms, right? Like you can.
Nah.
No?
It's very difficult. You
Oh,
would
okay.
need
You'd
to
have
take,
to eat like pounds and pounds.
Oh, for real?
You would need to take probably like a pound or 2. But
Oh, wow.
you'll go crazy before you die.
Oh, okay.
That's for sure. You'll hit psychosis and become schizophrenic before you die. But
It's wild.
You might as well be dead at that point. Shit.
That's so
All right.
crazy.
We're almost at the end, or we'll wrap this up soon. But like,
I know, man. This has been such a good conversation.
There's a lot of good topics, dude.
Seriously.
Little highlights, man. I hope you don't mind if we snip them up and highlight them.
Not at all.
Just
Yeah,
do
not
some
at all.
highlight clips. I think the sigil part got really interesting for a little bit there.
Yeah, man.
I'd like to dive a little bit more into that.
So let me tell you about my experience with Sigils. So I was working at a place, and I was just honestly after money. Truly, I was after money. I was trying to make better money, and I basically set out a sigil to make the amount of money that I wanted to make through the job that I had at the moment. And I put the sigil, I did it, and then about a month or so later, I got into a fight with my boss, and ended up quitting my job. And we quit, or we got into a fight and I quit. And I started a job at this other place, and when I was working there, it was shitty. Like, they put me in management, but my whole crew quit on me like the day that I started. And for a whole month that I was working there, it was just a solo by myself, open to close every day.
that's kind of powerful too. At the same time,
Yeah.
because you know that when there's a state of chaos like that, you can reap the rewards of like being a part of the manifestation of order that comes next.
Yeah. So this is how it all played out. That job, they ended up sending me some guy from a different store to help me out because I was shorthanded. It was just me. And that guy, he had a speech impediment, and he has like a lot of heart. He wants to do what we do, but it's just the speech impediment got in the way from where he was at, because he was working at a call center environment before, and like we're at an office environment. And he was like, yeah, at the call center environment I was at, that people would make fun of me a lot because of my speech impediment. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it is. People over the phone, they don't care because you're not face to face. Like face to face people don't do that. You know what I mean? So that's why at the job we were at, he did really good. But he told me, he's like, but you, man, he's like, you sound like a white guy. He's like, you would do really good at the place I was at before, because I struggled selling stuff in Spanish, where I was at. But I picked it up. But anyway, so yeah, long story short, he turned me on to that job. And when I applied at that job, I ended up making the amount of money that I casted for on the sigil, like by that time, 3 months ago. Wow. And all from home.
You got it.
I got it.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
What,
eventually.
What amount of money?
It was like 2,500, like,
okay.
or something like that.
I made a sigil too for 500,000, and I made that like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I still haven't gotten it, but we're getting close.
We're getting there, man.
Oh yeah, man.
Bitcoin.
Thank you, crypto.
Yeah,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Freighter, the way he talks about it, one of his followers claims to have won the lottery
From using a sigil.
from using his magic.
The only time I've used sigils, because I knew this topic was going to come up, because your friend also has probably sigils on his body, like basically tattoos of sigils on his body.
Oh yeah.
The only time I've used sigils is usually for protection or blessings or like safety during travel, and like once I've used it for money, but that's about it. Which means I have limited experience trying to do sigils, but I have messed with them, but they've only been for like trying to protect like loved ones and shit like that.
That's probably the best. Well, see, like it goes back to the topic of the winning the lottery with magic, or just doing anything with magic. Whatever you're trying to get done with magic, you have to set it and forget it. You know what I mean? Like you have to be able to do the ritual
and don't think about it,
and then pretend like it never happened. Because the more you think about it, the more you dwell on what you did, the less
it's like you interfere. It's like an interference. You're interfering with your own.
You're cock blocking yourself.
Net that you've casted.
That's
yeah.
really weird. Yeah,
It's a mental cock block.
Yeah, that's what you're. That's the way. Like, that's the way I know it. But, so with the whole thing, like, so like if I'm gonna do a ritual, let's say for like 500,000, the ritual that I'm doing has to invoke the feeling
Correct.
of getting and holding and getting
Right.
that 5,000.
Neville Goddard.
That what?
Neville Goddard.
Neville Goddard, what's that?
Feeling is a secret.
Feeling is a secret.
You're unaware?
Like The Secret, the book?
It's the first secret from the 1920s.
Oh, okay.
This
okay.
man, Neville Goddard, wrote a book all about this, and he used this his entire life. And he said that feeling is a secret.
Yeah.
And that's true. Emotions charge the subconscious,
Yes.
which is why
Yes.
sex magic, the orgasm, is the most powerful state of the nervous system. So people perform ritualistic magic while orgasming to give that power and energize the thought that they're trying to manifest.
Yeah.
Possibly the occult elitists are doing it with negative things like
Oh, for sure.
suffering and pain.
Yeah.
to
Well,
charge
let
this shit.
me ask you guys something. I'm a believer that money is just a means to an end, and it's not really the money that you're after. It's what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
So what is it, if you don't mind me asking, what beyond the $2,500, what did you want to get with that money? Like pay your rent, buy a computer?
Freedom. It's the freedom that I guess because money, I forgot where I heard it from, but somebody once said money is just freedom units. Like it's units of freedom.
It's true.
And I feel like that's the best way to describe
very
money.
true.
Yeah.
For me, I've never used sigils at all, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I studied them, but I never used them. But I've witnessed this manifesting will into creation with money, where whenever I focus too much on the money part, it doesn't happen. Like, when we started our band Refractal, that was our goal. We wanted to make money off our music, but there was no like, well, what are you gonna do with the money?
Yeah.
And it became a whole. It was like we bought merch. We spent all this money buying merch. We built a website. We spent all this money maintaining the website, and it was like we just kept digging a deeper and deeper hole. And then I realized, like, it's because I'm not manifesting what I want, because I'm not really saying what I want.
Exactly.
Money isn't the thing that you want. It's what you want to do with it.
You're
And so
absolutely right.
Whenever you're, just to put it out
That
there,
makes
like
sense.
whenever you're
That's why my 500K didn't manifest.
yeah, you have to put something behind it. You have to say, well, you know what, I want to continue this band. I want to be able to have it be self-sustaining, and all the money we make allows me to keep the website open, and I don't have to pull out my
Right.
money out of pocket. I need this gear. I need this computer so that I can continue making music. That's why I want the
Well,
money.
like what he's saying, the ritual has to involve that feeling of actually having $500,000.
Yeah. And if
you
you
have
can
to mimic that exactly
Yeah.
and live it as if
Yeah.
it's true,
Exactly.
which is kind of hard because you don't know what it's like because you don't have it.
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself in like the future spot, and your subconscious mind tries to match that thing you created with your future self to now,
Right.
and leads
Right.
you on the path to that. So you're right. You have to, and that's why they charge their shit with like bodily fluids and
Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
For the people that do it.
For
Dark.
like, yeah. People
Killing
use
things,
that's-
The Conjuring.
killing a goat, killing shit like that. I could never do that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I could do that neither. Yeah.
It seems so selfish.
I mean, magic is magic, dude. Whether you make it black or white is up to you.
Exactly.
Well-
Whether it's angelic or demonic, it's
I
the
agree
same
with that.
tool. It's like a hammer can help build a house or can kill someone, but it's just a hammer. That's I view magic in that sense. That like
when you take life in the process, I don't know.
You don't have to always do it that way, though.
I'm just saying for the people that do, because that's easy.
Oh, yeah.
Like who knows what they're doing.
It's
with all-
cheap. It's the easiest way to like get energy charged into something.
Correct.
It's
It's easy.
the easiest, cheapest way
path
without you
of
having to
least
take
resistance.
anything from your body. I'm not only gonna take something from another body. I'm gonna take that whole life
Right.
from that body into what I want.
Right.
Yeah, it's wrong.
That
it's wrong.
plucks karmic ties that I would never want to fuck with.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, that's
there
why.
are repercussions for doing that.
That's what I'm saying. Karmic.
There's heavy repercussions for doing that, for sure.
How do you guys feel about like Jesus and the Bible and like do you think that like it's true as it is, or like do you think it's like
Jesus is thoth, bro.
Jesus is though?
No, I've read that Jesus is like a thoth-like being. That
Yeah.
the teachings that Jesus, Hermetic order, all that stuff. Like, I mean, the teachings that Thoth was a proponent of. Jesus was a student of and was successful at it, and that he was able to resurrect and do things that Thoth-like being would do as a result of the teachings. But
It's a loaded question
Yeah.
because.
But you
don't
mentioned
know.
Thoth earlier, so I figured I'd
That's a
chime it back
perfect
in.
tie.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
my answer would be like, I don't think one thing. I just
You have like way too many.
I just understand all the different perspectives of it. Robert Anton Wilson, you familiar?
I don't think so. No.
No, that's one of the greatest people you could read.
One
I'll
of
have to
Terrence
check 'em out.
McKenna's buddies,
I'm gonna have
Terrence
to check him
McKenna,
out.
Alan Watts.
Alan Watts. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Tim Leary.
Well, he knew them.
Tim
Like
Leary, yeah.
he worked with Tim Leary,
Ram
and he
Dass,
worked with Terrence McKenna. They might have had a talk or two.
They're all
um,
part of that same circle.
Robert Anton Wilson had this whole philosophy about like never believing anything, kind of.
Hmm.
And so everything exists in a maybe state. So he had
Yep.
maybe logic. He invented
Yeah.
maybe logic. Whereas like in computers, it was always like on or off,
Yeah.
but they developed circuitry that was like both on and off, like quantum computing
Yeah.
kind of brings that into the picture. So why not psychology? Why can't human psychology also be in a both on and off
Totally.
state? So
Like Schroeder's cat.
he wouldn't believe anything, and he experimented with like lots of psychedelics. He's got a lot of great shit on that. He delved into the occult, made it pretty high in different occult organizations. He wrote for Playboy for a long time, so he
Interesting.
mingled with Hefner.
He popularized the word Illuminati.
Oh, really?
He
It
re-
was
wrote
Robert
the book
Anton-
Illuminatus.
Yeah, it was Robert
Oh,
Anton
wow.
Wilson that popularized that word.
And Idea quotes Robert Anton Wilson in the
Oh,
first
wow.
song of Firstborn.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to check it out for sure. For sure. My whole thing about the Bible, I guess, like, cause like as somebody who like gets into like the occult and like magic and stuff, it's hard. Like there was a hard, especially like I told you guys, I was going to church at one point, and I was still learning about the occult even when I was going to church, because it's just something that always felt right to me. But I feel like I have to go along with because I was raised in Catholic Christian households, I'm sure as many people are. So it's like for me to try to go into something satanic, my mind isn't programmed that way. You know what I
Correct.
mean? I have to go with with the way that my mind has already been programmed. So I typically gravitate towards more like Western ceremonial stuff where you're calling upon angels, or like, you know what I mean? You're doing
Yes.
more like,
There are angelic sigils. for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, dude,
Yeah.
the whole Eastern tradition, they're basically doing it with light,
yeah.
mostly. The agora, they eat shit and they like consume the dead, and like they live on the banks where they bury the dead bodies. It's like the
Oh,
darkest
I think
version.
I've heard of that.
They cover themselves in the ashes,
And ashes, yeah.
and their tactic is like nothing is good or bad, so you can like use anything for power.
Yeah.
And like they eat out of skulls of
Yeah.
people that they find dead there. So it's just they consume themselves with like this darkness to the point where the darkness means nothing anymore.
Man. Have you seen the documentary Kings with Straw Hats or something like that?
Yes,
That's where I
Straw
learned about
Mats.
those fools. Yeah, that's
Straw
where I learned
Mats.
about
Yeah,
those
yeah,
fools.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good documentary.
That is a really good documentary.
the
Netflix or
the
what?
agoras are intense, dude.
I think the last time I saw it
YouTube.
was on YouTube before the
YouTube
purge.
documentary.
Curiosity Stream?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Gaia? No.
So
Dog, the goal of this show, I'm going to put a sigil right now, bro. We're going to make it on Gaia, bro.
There you
that's
go.
a good idea. That's perfect. Of course you do that. Of course you
David
make a sigil
Wilcock,
for this episode.
Watch out, motherfucker. No.
Or from it. So like, what would be your so someone who like uses that? What could you make a sigil for this episode? Would there be a point? No, right? It's just like I'm trying to encapsulate and celebrate the manifestation of this and all the synchronistic topics.
But I think I like using, and I've said it many times on this episode and the past one, I like the idea, the analogy of medicines and poisons. Like, everything has the ability to be a medicine or a poison. It's about, what intention you have in it. When you're intentionally creating a poison in the world, you're going to receive a poison back.
Yeah.
When you're intentionally creating a medicine in the world, you're going to receive a medicine back. And that's just the law of one, like
You get what you give.
It's like when you get a bunch of scientists in a lab purposely creating like, diseases and biochemical warfare.
Yeah.
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 It comes
What
back.
did
It
you
comes
think
back,
was
man.
gonna happen?
You know, you get what you give. What goes around comes around. Boomerang karma, bro. This.
That's a
I
good
think
way.
we all universally, intuitively agree on that. I don't care what
Totally.
religion you're in. I don't care what, sect of cults you're in. We all agree on that. Like, what goes around comes around. Boomerang.
I think where the lines get drawn is where we stop agreeing to disagree. Like you got people over on the other side of the world who may live their life throwing gay people off roofs, and we may live over here and say, "Yo, that's fucked up." But that's not my land. That's not my house. That's not, you know what I mean?
It's a very hard ethical problem to solve.
It's kind of like hard to comfortably say, like, I'm gonna like be okay with knowing that that's happening. Like, are we supposed to intervene and say you're wrong? You know, are we
Exactly.
supposed to just let them be like,
Correct.
you know?
Hey, man.
Where's the balance of that?
I hate to bring it up, but Afghanistan, man, we totally did that shit. We
Yeah.
started teaching them about, like, that culture has a very specific way that they perceive women, and then we went in there and we were like, hey, you shouldn't do that and all this stuff. And I mean, who's to say who's right or wrong? But I agree with you. That's not our land. We shouldn't be going on. You shouldn't go into other people's houses and tell them how to act in their own house, kind of
Right.
thing.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
else somebody's gonna go in your house and tell you how to.
And then
act
it's
in
like
your house.
also you kind of like using that same analogy though. It's like if you hear your neighbor beating his wife every night, at what point do you knock on the door and say, "Hey, man"?
Well, how many Cops episodes have you
Immediately.
seen? Like, how many
Immediately.
Cops episodes do you need to watch before you realize that it doesn't work? Because at the end of the day, you see the screaming wife. She's like, "But I love him.
Well,
Why
that's
you
a different
arrested him?" You know? Like,
Yeah,
he just-
true.
But
That's
lady,
true.
he just whooped your ass. She's like, "I don't care. He pays my bills."
Like, does he love you because he
You know?
beat you, or does he beat you because he loves you? Like,
You know what I mean? But like, what right do we have to intervene in that
Yeah,
shit?
that's-
It's
love is
that's
love.
And I'll end it off on this one note. In a lot of Eastern religions and a lot of Western religions too, that they have this concept of compassion, and it's a really tricky concept to nail because you start to think like, that the central idea is to help someone, but how do you help someone? It's extremely difficult to decide, whether to be nice or whether to be mean to someone, because in
They
some
gotta want it.
cases they call it mercy severity in Kabbalah and Mudvayne. I don't know if you heard of Mudvayne. They have a song called Mercy Severity, and
Okay.
this is where I get the concept from. But
Which is the two pillars
I was about to say
also
the pillar
of
of
the
mercy,
occult.
pillar of
Sephiroth,
severity.
which
Yeah.
mother and father also pose as mercy and severity
Mercy and
pillars
severity,
to
yeah.
the child,
I see.
usually.
so typically,
see.
so like you can be merciful to someone or you can be severe to someone, and that is to know when to tell the difference. That is true compassion, because like we talked about it the other day, like when does giving become bad?
Spoiling
You
a
can
child.
give too much.
Spoiling
You
a
can
child.
spoil someone.
That's
You
right.
can be too merciful. So you're not helping. You're not being compassionate. You think you're being compassionate because you give your child everything they want, but you're
Yeah.
actually hurting them.
Yeah.
So to tell the difference between help and hurt is to know the difference between mercy and severity. That is
The
true
two
compassion.
pillars.
Correct.
And it's very difficult, dude. I mean, even to this day, I sometimes help when I shouldn't have,
Wow.
and I hurt when I shouldn't have. But that's the true journey of a master, is to be able to tell, you know what, if I do this to this person, it's going to spoil them. I should probably be mean to them right now. That's
Yeah.
a very hard thing to decide, especially for men, because
That's
men are
profound.
typically merciful in that system, and
Yeah.
then women are typically severe. Like mothers know when to spank better than fathers do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's contrary to popular belief, most people think men are severe
Yeah.
and women are merciful, but in that system, it's the other way around. But
Interesting. That's profound, man. That's actually very true. It makes me think about a lot of my relationships or how I handle a lot of my like day to day.
Balance. Looking for balance.
Totally.
or like dealing with customers,
Yeah, totally.
Like if I
exactly.
give you this discount, you're gonna come back every single time. You're gonna treat me like an asshole because I don't give you a discount every time. Like
100%.
Or the other way around. You're mean to the wrong person when they just really needed something from you. How do you tell the difference?
Yeah. Objective truths versus subjective truths. Totally.
Cheers, fella.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. This was fucking awesome, dude.
Well,
Cheers.
great
Fuck
way
yeah.
to end it.
Yeah, dude.
And there'll be
Okay.
another one sometime
yeah.
in the future.
Oh,
Super
dude.
down.
This time at your house.
Into the cosmic
Yeah.
womb.
All right. Well,
What is it? The one thing I do know is that I don't know. What
The
is it?
all I know is that I don't know.
All I know is that I don't know.
How many
Into the
episodes do you have?
cosmic womb.
This is gonna be like the fourth one.
and it's hosted Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple, and There's like some other places that they posted on.
YouTube?
Nah, not on YouTube, but I posted on Anchor. It's an app called Anchor, and then Anchor just blasts it on all these other platforms. for
One
me.
more time for the crowd. One more time. What is
Anchor.
it? No,
the name of your
I'm just kidding. All I know is that I don't know podcast.
social
Yeah.
media.
Waken Jake 666. I'll send you the link. Maybe you could post it on
That's
the
another
YouTube.
tie. Good synchronicity right
Yeah.
there.
Hell yeah.
At Ketupa, you already know where we're at.
At Refractal at RX the Farm Tech.
All right. God bless.